we're going to be setting up our Visual Studio Code so that it can see our WDD 130 folder as a repository with our GitHub account. So we're going to make sure, and this is going to ensure that it not only sees the changes on our computer, but once we make the changes we'd like or the additions, we can then push it up to GitHub easily through Visual Studio Code. So now we're going to be using this third icon called source control. Okay, under the source control panel, we're going to press publish to GitHub. And it will ask us, the extension GitHub wants to sign in using GitHub. So we'll go ahead and allow that. And we'll say authorize Visual Studio Code to access GitHub, continue. And we'll allow it to open the page in Visual Studio Code. And allow an extension to open a URI, open. And we'll go ahead and it sees our folder we have open, so we can publish to the GitHub repository. And it's going to make a new repository in our GitHub account. Oh, I already had a WDD 130, so you probably don't. And any other files you might have had in images, and we can select all of them and say, okay. And it does the first commit and push to our GitHub account. And it successfully put that in there. You won't have a -2 on yours, that's fine. And it also says, do you want to periodically run fetch? You can say, yes, we're not really going to be fetching files. We're just going to be pushing, but you can say yes to that. And we can actually go into our GitHub account, which is what this will do. And we can then see that that came onto our repository. Again, yours won't have a -2, but you should see your About Me folder. Inside that folder, you should see your index. And if you had an image, you would probably see the images folder and the image as well. But now we are attached to our GitHub account. And now every time we go in and make additions, your About Me is probably much longer. Then our remote repository, once we save that, our remote or our control source will get a little number that says, oh, you've made a change, you've added a file, you've added a paragraph, you've done something to your project. It will start keeping track of every time there's a change there. And what you'll have to do from this point on then is just say, I'm happy with these changes, which is a commit to our repository. And you can, if there's a whole bunch of changes, you can add them all with the changes line plus, or you can add individually with the pluses next to each file. So I'll just always hit this plus next to changes. And I'll say, give it a meaningful message of what you had just done, what changes you've made. And then you can commit that to your local Git on your computer, which is keeping track of that project. But to actually push it out to GitHub now, we can click on the 3 dots here and push it out. And it will then go ahead and make those changes. And back on our GitHub account, we can actually see those changes. I go into that, you'll have one repository, I have a lot. And we can actually see the changes here that were made. Never edit in this editor. I would not ever use it actually. I'm just showing you that we added those changes. Always edit inside of Visual Studio Code. But you'll see that now your changes are getting pushed to a remote location, and they are now on github.com on a remote server.